Hello gang, Jose here with Sailing Vessel Reverie, giving you an update on our progress today. Actually, we had a couple of projects that we tackle. Weather is getting a little nasty, so we're going to try to give you a quickie update and get out of here before it starts raining. So let me show you what we had to do today. So if you recall, we had the rudder rebuilt on Reverie, and one of the things that we couldn't tell until after we got the rudder back up is that when the guys build the top side of the rudder, you know, they put material to kind of get all the kind of a sandwich, the two sides back together. Problem was that they had too much material, and once we got the rudder back in its proper place, whenever you turn the rudder would hit the hull before it hit the brake on the quadrant. So the challenge with that is that it takes away from your rotation, you know, to your turning power. And the other challenge with that was that once you get this bad boy in place, you get that rudder shoe back on and you glass everything in and you bolt it in. There's no way you're bringing this rudder back down. It's up for life. So we had to get creative and figured out how we can cut a wedge out of the top side of the rudder in order to create the space for the proper turn. So the tools that we use is we use a grinder with a diamond blade, and that is thin enough that we can get it into position and cut off the excess material in a relatively straight line. So we kind of draw a line and then kind of cut along it. And now this is not wide enough to cut through the entire thing, so we kind of have to go on both sides, which leaves a lot of imperfections. So to refine the cuts, we use a oscillating saw with the 3-inch blade, and that 3-inch blade is long enough that you can control it, keep it flat, and get it through almost to the other side to level off the cut. So as you can see, it's pretty straight. There's a few little imperfections here and there, but that will get taken care of once we sand it. And then what we're going to do to refinish it is we'll put 2 layers of shop strand and 1 layer of matte in between, and glass it and then sand it so we have a nice smooth line back on the rudder. But that will get us back in business. So the last thing that's left to be done once we get that complete on the rudder is putting in the wedge that goes below the shoe. And the reason this takes a wedge here is because if for some reason you take a big sea and the boat is lifted and it pushes the rudder up, you don't want the rudder to come off the shoe. So that wedge keeps it from moving up and down, and basically keeps it in place. So we have that wedge, we just have to reattach it before we start painting. We had to build a frame to basically fill this shaft strut with epoxy, and it has to be a mix. So this is kind of what they call a sacrificial, and all of this will be covered to where the keel is even again. The same material, the same mix will be used to cover the sides of the rudder shoe. Last but not least, actually, I'm kind of going backwards on how we work today, is the centerboard. So the guys at the marina here at the yard were kind enough to get the blocks moved to the edges so we could dig this big hole here in order to drop our centerboard. Now, it's a good thing that we did, because if you look here, that is the connection, the pendant, the cable that connects to the pendant pin on the centerboard, and is bent. The wire is corroded, and you can tell that is in a point where it could fail. Now the reason I have it tied up is because we're going to run a new wire, and I haven't decided if I'm going to be using wire or Dyneema to create that line that lifts the centerboard. But for those that were curious about what the centerboard looks like, here's our centerboard. This is a centerboard for a Pearson 34 for Reverie. It is roughly about 21 inches wide on the center, so it's pretty substantial. Guys, I apologize for the shaking, but doing this with one hand today. So here is the attachment for the centerboard. It's two steel plates. They get positioned on both sides, one on top, one on the bottom, and there are three stainless steel bolts that go through and screw in place to keep the attachment in place. The two boards, the wire for the pendant goes through this pin. So you basically have the pin going through, the wire goes in here. So you have the pin, the metal plate goes through the pin. You have the wire, so the dyneema or the wire that you're going to use to control the centerboard, and then this goes on the other side. You know, it's all attached, so you're going to have that sandwich in between, and then you put a pin through to keep everything together. Now the centerboard gets attached through the pivot pin, which is this big brass pin you see right here. There is a sleeve, a brass sleeve, that goes in this hole. Unfortunately, this really out of shape and is, you know, you can see the edge is all cracked and broken. So I'm gonna have to order a new sleeve. But these sleeves rest inside. The pendant goes through, and that's what the centerboard is going to pivot on. Now I had to order a new pivot pin, which is a stainless steel one, 316 stainless. So I'll have to order a new sleeve, which will go through here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this pin to give it some protection long term. It really doesn't move. It's on a wet spot, but it is pretty much just sits there. There is no, other than providing the support, which is a lateral, you know, it's holding it from going up and down. This really doesn't move in any other direction. The centerboard, as you can see, this boat came from up north, and for some reason, whenever this boat came south or up north, they only put bottom paint. They don't do the barrier coat on any of the bottoms or the fiberglass components, at least not that I've seen so far, and on this particular boat. So there's some damage on the centerboard, and this is a classic. They had the board down and they hit ground and they split the board. So I'm gonna dig all this out, fill it up with structural epoxy, and maybe put one sheet of shop strand and glass it, and then fair it, so we have a nice kind of seal surface all the way on the leading edge of this centerboard. There's some damage here. I don't know where that came from. The rest is pretty good shape. It's only here at the bottom that we have the kind of the sandwich split for some reason. This is solid. Same as the rudder. This is all fiberglass. There is no foam inside of this centerboard. So that's gonna give you the little bit higher view. That's the whole board. All right, gang, that's it for today. It's been a busy day, cutting the top of the rudder, getting the centerboard dug up, so we can repair the last of the components we need. We finished all the sanding on the bottom, so we are ready to, we're gonna power wash the bottom, get it all nice and clean, and then we're gonna start painting. We're not gonna do it today because unfortunately the weather is turning, so we may get some rain this afternoon, and I don't want to clean the boat just to clean it again later, so we're going to let that sit for a little bit sunny day here down the week. So with that, thank you so much for watching. You know, there's other videos on our refit over on the same channel where this video is located. If you like it, please subscribe, and we'll keep the updates coming as we continue to refit Reverie. So thank you for watching.